Okay, Chandrasekhar, start Jay.
Good morning, Manandal. Welcome to Telangana Social Studies Teachers Forum. This is Vadde Chandrasekhar, School Assistant Social Studies, working at GHS CPS Madira in Khammam district. Today, I am going to continue the 5th lesson in 10th class Social Studies, Part 2. Yesterday, we discussed about the Part 1. Today, I am going to teach second part, Indian rivers and water resources. So today's lessons, learning outcomes of today's class. The student explains water usage. The student can classify the water flows into two: surface flow and internal flow. At the same time, the student explains the different uses of water. The student explains the water use in Tungabhadra river basin. So these are the learning outcomes of today's class. So now I will go into the detail. Water use. Water flowing out via surface flows and groundwater. So without water we can't live. So we need water in every day in our day-to-day life. So students, from where we are getting water and how we are getting water. So the water, if we can classifies the water flow into two flows, one is surface flow and second one is a groundwater. So mainly we are getting water from through rainfall. The rain water, some of the rainwater goes into the ground and it become groundwater, and some of the water flow on the surface like small streams. Some small stream joined as a small rivers and small rivers joined as big rivers also. So the water which goes into ground, that become groundwater and stock. The water is there in ground. When we dig open wells and bore wells, the water come up. So nowadays we are using water, surface water, surface flow water and groundwater also we are using. So what are the uses of water? So mainly we are using water for agriculture purpose. So for the production of food grains, we need water. So when we have excess water, that become harmful for the agriculture. At the same time, if we don't have sufficient water to the crops, that time also we won't get good yielding. So we need sufficient water for agriculture to get good yielding. So if the rainfall is more, that leads to floods. If the rainfall is very less, that leads to drought. So excess water leads to flood and minimum water leads to drought. So the two situations are not good. So in this year, we got excess rainfall. We observed floods in Hyderabad and so many cities, and flood water came into towns, cities and villages also. So for agriculture purpose, we need water for the production of crop, food grains. At the same time, we are using water for domestic purpose and drinking water for animals also. So nowadays, from morning to night, bedtime, we are using water in so many activities. Without water, we can't survive. So one of the major usage of water is industrial usage. So we observed so many industries established on the river banks only to get sufficient water for the industrial use. So industries need more water. So where the water is available, in those places only industries were established. So sometimes the industries using fresh water and they are releasing effluents into the river, into the same river in the downward side. But because of the industrial usage and the water which is releasing by industries, that caused for the pollution of river water. So that's why so many acts enacted so many laws enacted by the governments, either state government or central governments. So every industry they should establish a effluent treatment plant. So recycling water plants they should establish, and they should recycle the effluents, and then only they have to release fresh water into the river after usage. So then we can control the pollution. Otherwise, we may face so many problems. So, but so many laws are there, but those are not implemented properly. So now we discussed surface flow and groundwater. So how can we understand the availability of water in a particular place? For example, students, imagine you are in a village. So in that village, from where you are getting water and how you are using. So for example, some villages, small streams are there, small canals are there, and tributaries are there, and big rivers also there. So water has two flows. One is inflow and second one is the outflow. So how can we measure the water availability of water in our village? So here in this picture you can observe red arrow mark. The water is coming into our area, and some of the water is going outside from our area. So here if you want to know the availability of water in your area, you should calculate the difference between inflow and outflow. If the inflow is more, when outflow is low, you can have more water. So if outflow is more than inflow, there is no water in that area. So like that, in every village or in every state, we have to calculate the inflow and outflow. So this is the inflow and this is a outflow. By calculating outflow inflow water, we can observe the availability of water. That water called as stock. So see, it depends on inflow and already available water as stock. So for example, in rainy season, so much of inflow is coming into our villages or into our areas. But after completion of rainy season, in the rainy season only, we cannot store all the inflow in our village, and some of the rainwater goes downwards. So that is outflow to our village. So how much of water stored in our village, that is important. So how can we calculate the inflow of water and outflow of water? So for example, if you take a village, the inflow, if you calculate the inflow of water in liters per minute, how many liters are coming inward into our village per minute, and how many liters of water is going outward from our village per minute. If we calculate this, we can understand the stock of water at that particular time, how much water is available in that area. For example, in our, we have so many large dams, Nagarjuna Sagar Dam, Srisailam Dam, Priyadarshini Jurala Dam. Like there are so many large dams, reservoirs are there in our state. So in every rainy season, they calculate the inflow of Nagarjuna Sagar and outflow of Nagarjuna Sagar. So how much water is coming and how much water we have to release into the downward, always they will calculate. So for that purpose, they are using cubic meter and cusecs. In newspapers and new channels, we are hearing the word cusecs. Thousands of cubic water is released into the ocean or sea. So what do you mean by cubic? Before that, cubic meter, a volume that is made by cube equal to 1 meter each side. So 1 cubic meter of water is equal to 1000 liters. So 1000 liter is called as cubic meter. So what is cubic? So cubic is a measurement which is used for the flow of water, the flowing water. So a cubic meter per second. So cubic means a cubic meter per second. How many cubic meters are going towards out from our dam per second? That is equal to 28.31 liters. 1 cubic is equal to 28.31 liter. So these are the measurements to measure the water inflow and outflow. So if we can understand the stock of water by analyzing the inflow and outflow of the water. So in a village, in villages we have tanks, ponds, lakes as surface water storages. Students, think about your village. Is there any pond or tank or lake in your village? Yes, maximum all the villages are having tanks. Either it is small or large. Tanks are there. In rainy season, we are observing the rainwater is going to the village tank. After filling up the tank, it overflow into the downward. Okay, the tank water is useful for all the year to grow crops properly. So at the same time, where the small tanks are available and where there is no canal water facility, the villagers draw water from wells and tube wells. So in some places open wells are suitable, but in some places only tube wells are suitable because the groundwater is available at very high depth. In those areas, open wells are not suitable. So villagers are drawing water from bore wells and tube wells. So in our homes also, in our houses also, we have open wells. But nowadays, all are filling the open wells and they are digging tube wells for the place convenience. So at the same time, the groundwater table is decreasing day by day. Why the groundwater table is decreasing day by day? That is nothing but depletion of groundwater. So why the groundwater is decreasing? Students, think in your 7th class you have this question. Okay, how can we recharge groundwater? So difference between inflow and outflow affects the stock of water. So in rainy season, some of the water goes into the ground and it becomes groundwater. So the difference between the recharge or percolation of rainwater and drying out the groundwater, if the difference is more, then automatically that leads to depletion of groundwater. So we should recharge more water into the ground, then only we can get more water. If you observe in our villages, in so many villages, before 20 or 30 years, we have water at the depth of 5 feet or 10 feet. But now the water is not available at 5 feet or 10 feet. Okay, so that is nothing but depletion of groundwater. So availability of water depends on annual flows and stock that recharges wells and tube wells. The groundwater comes as wells, come into the wells and tube wells. When we dig tube wells, that groundwater come out from the tube wells. For that we are using electricity motors also. So to fill up this gap between recharge and usage and to prevent a depletion of groundwater, we should manage our needs within the range and we should try to recharge more water by planting more trees like that. So our Telangana government is giving much preference to the Haritaharam. Why? Because that helps to improve the groundwater and it helpful for the getting more rainfall. So then we can improve the stock of water. So that's why for that purpose we have to manage our needs and we have to save water. If the difference between usage and recharge is more, we'll get drought conditions. In summer season, in our state, in our country, we are observing in so many villages, the people are suffering because of lack of water. So they are facing drought conditions in summer seasons. So now in rainy season, we have water everywhere, but in summer season, the water is not available sufficiently. Some of the people, they are going 2 kilometers or 3 kilometers to get a pot of water. So that shows how the conditions are very crucial. So that's why we have to manage our needs and we have to recharge groundwater properly. So some of the intellectuals, they are saying that in future the wars will come for the water wars may come. So in some of the countries, they are facing so much of water problem. If you take Israel, they are desalinating the water, sea water, and they are using for agriculture and domestic purposes. So in future, we may get also water problem in our India. Nowadays also we are getting so many water problems like Maharashtra, our government's sending water with the trains. So we are observing that water problem. So that's why we have to recharge and save water and save groundwater. So water conflicts are there in our India, particularly between Kerala and Tamil Nadu, Andhra and Telangana, Karnataka, Andhra and Telangana. So these states have water conflicts when they are using river water. So water sharing among states and countries. So the rivers cannot stay in a place. The river is a flow. The river water flows downward. So when the river is going on, the people who are living on the river banks, they have to use that water. But who are there in upper side or upside upper portion, they are using more water and they are not releasing water to the down areas. So then automatically conflict will arise in usage of water. There is a question, who have to use more water? So that is a question. So in our India, so many issues are there. They are related to water usage. Particularly in our state also we are seeing that Krishna water dispute between Andhra and Telangana. Godavari water disputes between Andhra and Telangana. So Andhra opposing Telangana projects, Telangana opposing Andhra projects. So each other they are arguing that you are using more water. So like that, water disputes are raising in our India. So here, so these are the some states. Now we discussed Telangana, Andhra, Karnataka, and Kerala. So why I am showing these states only? So now in our lesson, we have a river, a issue about a river, Tungabhadra River. Water use in Tungabhadra River basin. So now we are going to discuss about the Tungabhadra River basin. Where is the Tungabhadra River? Tungabhadra River originates in Western Ghats. It is the Tungabhadra River is a combination of two small rivers, Tunga and Bhadra. So by combining these two small rivers, Tungabhadra River formed as a main river. This is the major tributary of Krishna River. Okay, here you can see the Tungabhadra River. This is a tributary of Krishna River. So this is west to east flowing river and it is joining with Krishna River. Then it joins with the Bay of Bengal. So here you can observe in the red circle, two small rivers are there. They are joining each other. So Tunga and Bhadra, these two rivers formed as Tungabhadra River. So this is a west to east flowing river. This river is flowing through Karnataka, Andhra, Telangana. So this is a major tributary of Krishna. So the catchment area of Tungabhadra river lies in Karnataka, Telangana, and Andhra Pradesh. Okay. So the total catchment area of Tungabhadra river is 71,417 square kilometers. So in that, major part of catchment area lies in Karnataka, nearly 57,671 square kilometers area is there in Karnataka. So this basin has two parts. The upper and middle catchment area, it is located in majorly in Karnataka, and the lower portion of the catchment area lies in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. So this is the catchment area, lower and middle catchment and lower portion of the catchment area. So on the Tungabhadra river in Karnataka, there is a major dam is there, reservoir is there, Hospet Dam. So in the place of Hospet, they constructed a dam. Which gives water to these states. So you can observe the Tungabhadra river. So this is the Tungabhadra dam. You are observing the picture. Okay, observe the picture. This is a Tungabhadra dam which is located in Hospet in Karnataka. So some of the official statistics about Tungabhadra river basin. So maximum land is farmland in this basin. So some of the land covered with the trees grows and fallow land. Some of the land cultivable waste is there and permanent patches are there and forest area, and some of the land covered with natural vegetation. Okay, this is the situation of the land catchment area. So in the Tungabhadra basin, maximum land is under cultivation. So this area needs more water from Tungabhadra basin. It depends on Tungabhadra water. So some area used for construction of tanks also. In some areas, they constructed tanks to store the water and to store the rainwater and surface flows. So here the problem is lower portion of this basin characterized by lower rainfall, particularly in Telangana and Andhra. So in Karnataka region, the upper and middle portion of catchment area is getting high rainfall when we compare with the lower portion of this basin. So because the upper and middle part is very near to Western Ghats, so in yesterday's class we discussed Western Ghats are getting more rainfall. So that's why lower portion is characterized as lower rainfall and it is facing drought conditions. Some regions depend on wells and tube wells and rest depends on canal water. So maximum, majorly in lower portion, there some of maximum they depend on wells and tube wells, and some of the areas they are using canal water. So these are the official information about the Tungabhadra river basin. This is the Tungabhadra river canal. So here, what are the activities are going on in this region? So encroachment of public lands for cultivation is common. So people, they're encroaching the lands, forest lands and open lands, and they are converting them into agricultural lands. So encroachment of public lands for cultivation purpose. So the people, they're cutting trees in larger scale. At the same time, mining activities are also major in this area. So because of the encroachments of public lands, because of the rampant felling of trees, so day by day, the forest cover is decreasing. So forest degradation of is going on. So that affects the flora and fauna and biodiversity of that area. So that affects the rainfall also. So inflows of groundwater depend on tree cover in this catchment area. So where the tree cover is more, in those areas, we will get more rainfall. So if we cut all the trees and when we are clearing the areas, forest areas, in future, we won't get rainfall because in those areas, the tree cover is very less. When we receive low rainfall, that affects the groundwater also. So lower portion of the, majorly the lower portion of the this rivers catchment area, particularly in Telangana and Andhra, that people faces the people they face so many problems because of the depletion of groundwater because they depend on wells and tube wells. So inadequate tree cover leads to water runoff. So one more problem is with forest degradation is water runoff. So if we have tree cover in where the tree cover is more in those places, the rainwater penetrates into the ground very highly. Okay, where the tree cover is less, in those areas, the water simply run off from that place and join with the river and the river join with the sea. So there is no chance to percolate into the ground. So inadequate tree cover leads to depletion of groundwater. So at the same time, one more problem with inadequate tree cover is causes flash floods. If we have sufficient tree cover in areas, so in those areas, the trees prevent flash floods because the roots of the trees penetrate into the ground and they stopped flash floods and the trees slower down the speed of the flood water. Where if there is no tree cover, that causes for flash flood. So for that purpose, to overcome this problem, we should adopt a plan for water conservation and a system of sharing water properly. So first, we should implement or we should adopt a plan for water conservation. So every person, every state or every country, they should adopt good water conservation methods, and we have to develop a positive system of sharing water so to avoid disputes between the states or regions or countries. So then we can reach a good water availability. So here the paddy fields, we can observe the paddy fields in the Tungabhadra river basin. So day by day, the Tungabhadra Dam lost its storage capacity over 50 years, over a period of time. So within the 50 years, the capacity of reservoir decreased from 3,766 million cubic meters to 849 million cubic meters. So it lost nearly 849 million cubic meters capacity. So why the dam is losing its storage capacity? So for that, so many reasons are there. Students, can you guess why the capacity of the dam is decreasing day by day? Can anyone tell the reasons for that? So here, so much of silt is depositing in the river bed, in the reservoir, and proper the Tungabhadra upper Tungabhadra dam area, there so many mining activities are going on. So because of proper mining standards are not following in iron ore extraction in Kudremukh and manganese in Sandur, so much of debris and silt is coming into the Tungabhadra dam. So here you can observe how the silt is depositing in the reservoir. So here you can observe this is sand in the water sinks. So when the rainwater is coming into the reservoir, along with the rainwater, so much of debris, sand and silt come into the reservoir and it deposited in reservoir. Slowly, the capacity of the reservoir decreases because of the silt and debris. So here in the picture, you can observe how the riverbed is going up. So, and how the amount of water is decreasing in the reservoir. So like that, silt is depositing in the reservoirs. So that's why the Tungabhadra river is losing its capacity day by day. So you are seeing the picture Kudremukh iron ore. It is there in Karnataka. So lack of implementation of proper iron ore extraction facilities, or they are not implementing laws properly, that causes so much of silt is coming into the Tungabhadra river and it is going into the Tungabhadra dam and depositing in that dam. So that leads to decrease in the capacity of water storage. So conflicts between states. We have conflict with Karnataka, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh. So because it conflict related to the availability of water use. So which state has to use more water and which state has to use less water? So who use water first and who use water next? So here is a conflict. So water is shared based on the agreements. So we have agreement with the Karnataka in on Tungabhadra basin. So 80% people depend on agriculture. In the river basin, Tungabhadra river basin, 80% of the people depend on agriculture. Already earlier we discussed about in the catchment area of Tungabhadra, we have two portions, upper and middle catchment area and lower catchment area. So upper and middle catchment area is there in Karnataka. So Tungabhadra dam is also there in Karnataka. So here is a dispute is the Karnataka people are using more water. They are not giving proper share to the down regions or lower catchment area people. So here the Karnataka people or the Karnataka governments, they are saying we are using our quota only. We are not exploiting the shared agreements or water agreements. So like that they are arguing. But the lower portion, particularly in Telangana and Andhra, they are not getting proper share from Tungabhadra river basin. This issue raised in mainly in drought conditions. So in the years when the rainfall is less, in those years the issue is more and increasing. So if we have sufficient rainfall, sometimes we won't have any issue because of high rainfall we have water in everywhere. So this is a Tungabhadra river water usage conflict between Karnataka, Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. So water is flow resource. Already we have learnt, that is water is flow resource. It can't stay in a place. So its storage or use upstream affects what is available to people downstream. So in upper side, upstream, the major catchment area is there in Karnataka. They can use the water more than Telangana because major catchment area is there. They are in upside. So first the water has to come from Karnataka to Telangana. So that's why they are using more water than Telangana and Andhra. So majorly in this river basin, the people are growing crops, paddy, jowar, sugarcane, cotton, and finger millet. So these are the important crops which grown in this region or catchment area. So irrigation is provided through canal system. So we have river canals from Hospet Dam. So through canal system, we are supplying water to the fields. In rain-fed regions, farmers extract groundwater through bore wells. So some regions are there where the canal water is not reached, in those areas, particularly rain-fed areas, so they are extracting the groundwater through bore wells. So many thousands of feet they are digging bore wells and they are extracting the groundwater because there is no sufficient surface flow. They are depending on groundwater, but at the same time they are unable to recharge groundwater sufficiently. So that leads to depletion of groundwater in future also. At the same time, the farmers they are growing crops which needs more water. So here in the picture you are observing two crops are there. What are the crops, children? Can you recognize the crops? So one is sugarcane and second one is a paddy crop. So these crops need more water than other crops like jowar, finger millets, cotton. So these are the other crops which are growing in the Tungabhadra catchment area. This is a jowar, finger millet and cotton crops are there. So these crops, they need water. So to overcome this dispute, water dispute between the states, first we should think about proper cropping pattern. We have to change cropping pattern. The area is ideal for semi-arid crops. So the Tungabhadra river basin is ideal for semi-arid crops. It means we have to cultivate the crops which need less water than the crops which need more water. But major crops grown demand a lot of water. Majorly in this region, the people are cultivating paddy and sugarcane. They need more water. So that's why this problem is rising frequently. More demand for water from all the areas. So the water disputes not only between states and between some regions also within the state. So within the state, some region, between the regions also, the disputes are rising. So a lot of difference between farmers who access water and who don't have access. So if you observe the farmers of two different regions, one region from where the water is available sufficiently and one region from where the water is not available sufficiently, we can observe the lot of difference between the farmers of two regions. So where the availability of water is more, in those regions the people are getting, the people, they have more incomes than other region. So that's why all the people, they want water. So that's why the disputes are rising frequently. So for that to overcome that problem, to subside the water disputes, so the government should initiate some cropping pattern suitable for that area availability of water. So a change should be there in the cropping pattern, should be encouraged. We have to encourage a suitable cropping pattern. So which suitable for the availability of water and stock of the water. So which doesn't affect the groundwater. So then all the regions, they can cultivate crops equally or similarly. So otherwise, if you won't get a suitable cropping pattern, these disputes will increase in the future also. Okay, we cannot solve them. So here, demand for water. During last 2 decades, the demand for water increasing trend in towns and small industrial townships or industries are increasing. So because of the increase in the population, small towns are increasing. So because of the increase in the population, industries are increasing. So for this increasing trend, we need more water to fulfill the water requirement of the industries and small towns and large towns. So increasing water demand, it leads to again water disputes. So the governments are trying to improve the standard of life of the people. So when the governments are trying to improve the standard of life, they are taking up developmental activities. So for the developmental activities, they need more water. At the same time, when they are taking up developmental activities, those are caused for the pollution. So because of the pollution also, we are not getting sufficient rainfall. So because of the low rainfall, again, the water problem is rising. So in this catchment area, 27 large units and 2,543 small units in this units are there. So these units need more water. So at the same time, these industries or these units are releasing effluents into the river. So students, we know river Musi. Where is the Musi? It is in Hyderabad. So what about Musi? So much of industrial effluents are releasing into the Musi. There is no fresh water in that river because the Musi river is a highly polluted river because so much of effluents are releasing without treatment, without recycling, because that river water caused for so much of pollution. So public protested against effluents. In some regions, the local public, they protested against the effluents released by the factories and industries, but the governments, they are enacting so many laws against these effluents, but lack of proper implementation, the problem is remain same. So 1984, due to molasses which released into the river, so much of fish killed on large scale. So laws enacted but not implemented properly. So it caused for severe pollution. Okay. So when we are releasing effluents into the